Honoring Black History is brought to you by the Tennessee Education Lottery.
Thank you for joining me on this Monday. I'm Terry Craig. Today we celebrate Black History Month. Over the next half hour, we plan to touch on its origins, along with how the culture continues to influence Appalachia to this day. Let's start with a little bit of history. It wasn't always a month-long celebration. In February 1926, historian and author Carter G. Woodson created a week-long effort to teach people about African-American history and the contributions of Black people. This effort was made under the umbrella of an organization he founded in September 1915 called the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Eventually in 1976, President Gerald Ford became the first president to issue a message extending the celebration past a week. Since then, presidents have made annual proclamations for National Black History Month. And now that you know a little bit about that history, let's talk about how Black culture plays a role in our region. This afternoon, we plan to highlight the events and people that make the Tri-Cities stand out. Did you know Abingdon, Virginia recently has its first African-American mayor? I had the chance to sit down with Dwayne Anderson to talk about his new role and roots here in the region. We'll share his story. We'll also tell you about an organization in the region helping teens who are looking for a place where they fit in. T.R. Dunn, the founder, 413, based in Johnson City. Find out how he's changing young lives. And if you haven't seen the Barter Theatre's Black Stories, Black Voices, take the stage yet. Now is the time to immerse yourself in a little bit of history. In the service industry, it's a staple of Abingdon's economy. Fittingly, the town mayor has plenty of experience in that sector, owning his own restaurant while also working at a local tavern. As I said, I had the chance to learn a little bit more about Mayor Dwayne Anderson. Meet Dwayne Anderson, a familiar face to those in Abingdon. Born and raised in the town with a love for the service industry. His first job, the Martha Washington Inn serving. He owns his own restaurant, Dwayne & Co., and he also works at the tavern in town.
I aim to please and quick response, quick replies, that's what people really like in the town of Abingdon. And if there's, like I said, if there's any way that I can help anybody in the town of Abingdon, from the smallest problem to the biggest problem, I like to be involved.
He knows everyone around the town, so much so, many encouraged him to try public service. Anderson says he's open to helping any way he can.
What better way to get involved with the community than to get on the town council? And with that leads me to where I am now. Vice Mayor, now Mayor. Abingdon's first African-American mayor, an achievement that he's proud to hold. The people in Abingdon appreciate the job that I was doing for the town. And it's just one of those things that just trickled, and I'm happy to be in the spot that I'm in now because I feel like I'm more involved. A lot of hard work has been put in along the way. He says all the residents around the town are, quote, his people. Anderson says he wants to be an example for everyone. If you put your mind to it, if you stick to it, if it's something that you really want to do, if you have goals, you can reach your goals. And I feel like I'm reaching my goals here in the town of Abingdon, and the town of Abingdon is helping me reach my goals. Fantastic story there. An East Tennessee State legend was honored forever enshrined in Bucks history. The great Tommy Woods got to see his jersey hang in the Raptors for permanent display this month. Woods became the program's first African-American player back in 1964. He was a two-time All-Ohio Valley Conference selection who scored 979 career points. The Tennessee native still holds a number of the school's rebounds records, including over 1,000 career boards. We got the chance to speak to Tommy and those closest to him after that ceremony.
There was emotion that I can't really express because my mind just went back to when I first started playing ball and the bad times and then the good times. And it all came out good and coming out there on the floor and having my jersey retired, it's an awesome feeling.
The university will also begin awarding a scholarship in Woods' honor. It'll be called the Big Dipper Trailblazer Scholarship. The Johnson City Symphony Orchestra presented the world premiere of a piece written by a Johnson City native as part of a Black History Month celebration. But first, the composer Mildred Ellis was honored with a plaque in a building that was once her high school the Langston Center. Ellis was valedictorian of Langston High School's class of 1924. According to the director of ETSU's Archives of Appalachia, Jeremy Smith, Ellis went on to be a music teacher and earned 3 degrees in the subject. In fact, it's believed she was the first black woman to pursue a PhD in music. In Smith's research, he discovered a never-before published piece of music called Keep Singing that Ellis wrote for her master's degree. That was the piece that debuted over the weekend. According to Smith, Ellis died back in 2004 at the age of 98. And if you're interested in reading more about the life and legacy of Mildred Ellis, head over to our website, WJHL.com. We'll have a full link to her story.
But we're making sure that we make an impact so that it makes a difference in their life.
We're continuing to honor Black history in our region. We'll highlight one man making history day by day. His name, T.R. Dunn. Learn more about his nonprofit 413 next.
Honoring Black History is brought to you by the Tennessee Education Lottery.
According to the World Health Organization, teenagers are considered a vulnerable group. This age range is a formative time that can be make or break when it comes to mental health. And that's something T.R. Dunn is very aware of. News Channel 11's Kelly Getz tells us how he's changing and saving lives in this Honoring Black History special.
T.R. Dunn is a Johnson City native. He grew up here, went to Science Hill High School, raised his kids here, and now he's helping mold an entirely new generation. A generation that hasn't quite had it easy with the recent pandemic. But if anything good came from COVID, it was the formation of 413. It was an idea that came to light after a suicide at Science Hill High School. Dunn and his wife, Carla, decided something needed to be done to intervene.
And I was like, 413, Philippians 413. I can do all things. And all of a sudden, the light bulb went off. And I was like, Carla! And she comes running in the room. What is it? And I'm like, this is it. I'm like, 413. And I said, we'll do 4 and we'll spell out the word 13 because at the end of the word 13 has teen in it. We'll change where it says I can do all things to teens doing all things.
To know TR is to know that he loves this community and that he thinks, nothing's impossible. Let's do it. So I was like, okay, here we go.
It's a faith-based nonprofit open to teens across the region, giving them a chance to lead and be heard. But it's important to know Dunn's focus on youth started years before 413's conception in 2020. In 2017, he hosted a community block party.
And I was just thinking, our neighborhood, our street, a little small block party.
We just invited the community. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what was going to happen. About 200 people showed up that day.
Years later, the leaders of 413 are in charge of planning that same party, and it's grown from 200 to nearly 4,000 people. T.R. Dunn wears many hats. He's a photographer, the voice of the Hilltoppers, and on a number of community boards. But by far, his favorite role is being the guiding compass for the kids of 413. And it's because he says this group is truly making a difference.
We've had one mother reach out to us and said, our teenager was thinking about committing suicide. And they came to 413. And now they are just so vibrant. We see such a change in them at home.
413 to me means a new life, a new opportunity.
5 years running this nonprofit, and Dunn's journey has only just begun.
I go to sleep with a smile on my face because I know that I'm doing the work that God has called me to.
In Johnson City, I'm Kelly Getz.
And while 413 is a faith-based organization led by the teens, they do host a few big events throughout the year where volunteers are needed. If you're interested in helping Dunn on his mission, get involved by heading to their website. A new design has been chosen to commemorate the first 5 black students who desegregated the East Tennessee State University campus. This comes after the memorial fountain that sits in the middle of Borchuk Plaza was damaged due to freezing temperatures a few years ago. An ETSU committee came together to search for a new design to honor the students. Professor Keith Johnson says the fountain is an abstract design and many wouldn't know what it represented unless told about it. The new design will be 5 bronze statues of the students who desegregated the campus.
It took a lot to make the decision to come to East Tennessee State University when they had options to go to other institutions that were such as Tennessee State. And so coming here was a bold statement as well as a pivotal point in the desegregation of higher education, not only at East Tennessee State Universities, but other institutions across the country.
Johnson says that new memorial is expected to be completed this August. Coming up, the Langston Center is celebrating 5 years. After the closure of Langston High School, the building was vacant for years. Now it's been given new life. We'll bring you that story after the break.
Honoring Black History is brought to you by the Tennessee Education Lottery.
The old Langston High School was a pillar in the black community for years. It closed in the 60s and had primarily remained vacant for years. But a push to revitalize the building brought it back to life. And I had the chance to see its transformation. School is a place of learning and instruction, but Langston was much more than that. It was an anchor for the black community.
When society said one thing about you, you could go to these institutions and be encouraged, uplifted. You could be told that you can. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do.
Langston served as Johnson City School for black students up until integration. When students moved over to Science Hill, Langston was relatively vacant and unused. That is until a push in 2015 by former grads of the school to bring this community pillar back to life.
And the people were sharing their stories about remembering this classroom and remembering how things were. And they had a number of remembrances about the auditorium and what used to go on in the auditorium.
3 years later, the Langston Center formed. Although no longer a school, the new center has plenty of purpose in the community.
We are focused on community engagement through the arts, education, and leadership. The approach to our work is threefold. We respect the past, we recognize the present, we realize the future.
If you walk around, the history is everywhere. Dixon says it's part of what they strive to do.
We want to uphold their school with as much character and dignity as possible, and so we try to do that in everything that we do here.
There's been plenty of success over these 5 years. Naming the Langston Interchange on Interstate 26, the naming of several overpasses after civil rights activists, just to name a few. Dixon says there's plenty more success to be had.
We are absolutely striving to figure out how can we respect individuality, but also how can we build community. And I think that in the 21st century, that's very important.
Plenty of great things going on over there at the Langston Center. But to the Model City now, an exhibit focused on black history in the region just wrapped up its display on Friday. It was titled Black in Appalachia and was put together by Kingsport Cultural Arts and the city's archives, showcasing the black community. The banners included photographs, historical and biographical information, newspaper articles, and a timeline of various topics, including black churches, Douglas High School, the Riverview neighborhood, and more. And also in Kingsport, Dobbins-Bennett High School hosted an African-American history seminar earlier this month. During that seminar, those in attendance highlighted the deep-rooted contributions, cultural impact, and lasting legacy of the African-American community in the city through personal accounts, photographs, and historical discussions. The discussion was student-led. Coming up, the Barter Theatre is amplifying black voices and culture in our region. We'll tell you how they're doing just that after the break.
Honoring Black History is brought to you by the Tennessee Education Lottery.
Welcome back, everyone. Barter Theatre opened nearly 90 years ago, and the theater is a staple of entertainment in our region. Jayana Scurry explains how in recent years they've used their platform to highlight the stories of black history.
4 years ago, the program Black Stories, Black Voices formed at the Barter Theatre.
It started, honestly, right after the death of George Floyd. Like many arts organizations, that really opened us up and at Barter to realize that we might not have been prioritizing black bodies and black stories on our stages like we should have. So we decided to create a program called Black Stories, Black Voices to do just that.
Terrence Jackson, Director of Black Stories, Black Voices, BSBV for short, says the program originally started out as a playwriting initiative and now it's expanded to putting on plays both from locals and nationally known playwrights, workshops in the community, and play readings. At least one play during Barter's main stage season focuses on the black experience.
this year is a play called Thurgood by George Stevens Jr., and it's about Thurgood Marshall.
Other productions include a new play reading of Faster Than the Speed of Race, about the first Black NASCAR driver, as well as their 4th annual Shine, Illuminating Black Stories event highlighting original monologues. And this year, a writer from Glade Spring, Virginia in his 70s dipped his toes into the theater world for the first time.
I had never done a monologue before. I didn't really know what I was doing, so when you don't know what a word means, you Google it. So I Googled monograph or whatever the word is and got some pointers.
Jerry L. Jones first started attending Barter plays in the 1960s when his mother worked for Barter Theatre founder Robert Porterfield and his wife. One of Jones's monologues is about his mother and Mrs. Porterfield, ironically both named Mary. Jones's other monologues are about his educational experiences dealing with his college choice and his journey after graduating.
I make jokes about me being older than anybody else that's doing this, but it makes sense that I would be older because I can talk about what segregation was like. But if you are your age, or maybe 30, 40, or even 50, you may have read about it, but you would not have experienced it. I experienced it.
Jackson believes Appalachia has some of the world's best storytellers, and it's important for Black stories by local Black writers to be amplified.
The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly of it all. We're not trying to shy away from some of the hard truths about being Appalachian and Black Appalachian. And it's important for us to tell those stories because there's so many great stories. Stories of romance, love, loss, heartbreak.
In Abingdon, Jayana Scurry, News Channel 11.
Coming up, doubling down on history. We'll tell you how a former coach at ETSU is making history in the National Football League. Not once, but twice. We'll have her story.
Honoring Black History is brought to you by the Tennessee Education Lottery.
In 2023, we brought you the story of Autumn Lockwood. Formerly with ETSU Athletics, she worked for the Philadelphia Eagles and became the first Black female to coach in the Super Bowl. Fast forward to 2025, she's now the first Black female coach to win the Super Bowl. Her Eagles flipped the switch and defeated the Kansas City Chiefs. Back in 2018, Lockwood joined the university's strength and conditioning staff as a grad student. She joined the Eagles as an assistant sports performance coach back in 2022. And if you'd like to watch these stories again, you can do just that over on our website, WJHL.com. Special thanks to Kelly Getz, Jayana Scurry, Isaiah Quaintance, and Matt Bowling for their help on this show. Once again, thank you for watching this celebration of Black history in our region. Y'all have a good one.